Amos Tversky's groundbreaking work revolutionized our understanding of human decision-making, leaving an indelible mark on the field of psychology. His collaborations with Daniel Kahneman produced profound insights that challenged conventional wisdom and transformed the way we think about thinking. Get ready to unravel the fascinating story of a brilliant mind that changed the face of psychology forever. As we delve into the life of Amos Tversky, it's essential to explore his early years, which laid the foundation for his remarkable contributions to psychology. Born on March 16, 1937, in Haifa, Israel, to a family of Jewish immigrants from Poland and Russia, Tversky's childhood was marked by a unique blend of cultural influences. His father, Yosef Tversky, was a veterinarian, and his mother, Rita Tversky, was a social worker. This exposure to diverse professions likely instilled in Amos an appreciation for the interdisciplinary nature of human behavior. Tversky's educational journey began at the Hebrew Reali School in Haifa, where he excelled academically and developed a keen interest in mathematics and philosophy. His curiosity about human behavior and decision-making processes was further piqued during his military service in the Israeli Defense Forces, where he served as a paratrooper and later as a commander of a unit. This experience not only honed his leadership skills, but also deepened his understanding of group dynamics and human performance under uncertainty. After completing his military service, Tversky pursued his undergraduate degree in psychology at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. It was during this period that he met his future collaborator, Daniel Kahneman, who would become a lifelong friend and intellectual partner. Tversky's graduate studies took him to the University of Michigan, where he earned his doctorate in psychology under the guidance of legendary psychologist Clyde Coombs. This mentorship played a significant role in shaping Tversky's research interests, particularly in the areas of decision theory and mathematical psychology. One of the pivotal moments in Tversky's academic career was his introduction to the concept of prospect theory, which challenged the traditional expected utility theory. He, along with Kahneman, began to explore how people make decisions under conditions of uncertainty, often relying on mental shortcuts or heuristics rather than rigorous probability calculations. This line of inquiry led to the development of their seminal paper, Prospect Theory, an analysis of decision under risk, published in 1979. The paper presented a compelling case for how individuals tend to be loss-averse, preferring to avoid losses rather than acquiring equivalent gains, and how this bias influences decision-making. Tversky's work on prospect theory was not without its critics, however. Some argued that the theory oversimplified the complexities of human decision-making or failed to account for individual differences in risk perception. Nevertheless, Tversky's contributions to the field of psychology were undeniable, and his collaborations with Kahneman continue to inspire new generations of researchers. As my colleagues in the field often note, Tversky's legacy extends far beyond his theoretical contributions, as he embodied a unique blend of intellectual curiosity, creative thinking, and passion for understanding human behavior. As Tversky delves deeper into the realm of decision theory, his collaborations with Kahneman led to a series of groundbreaking experiments that would challenge the conventional wisdom of rational choice theory. One of the most notable experiments was the Asian disease problem, which presented participants with a hypothetical scenario involving a deadly disease outbreak. The results showed that people's decisions were heavily influenced by the way information was framed, with a significant majority opting for a sure gain over a probable gain, but preferring a probable loss over a sure loss. This finding led Tversky and Kahneman to propose the concept of framing effects, which suggests that the way information is presented can profoundly impact our decisions. Tversky's work on framing effects was not limited to the Asian disease problem. He and Kahneman conducted numerous experiments that demonstrated how subtle changes in wording or presentation could significantly alter people's choices. For instance, they found that consumers were more likely to choose a product labeled 75% lean rather than 25% fat, even though the two labels described the same product. These findings had significant implications for our understanding of human decision-making, highlighting the importance of context and presentation in shaping our choices. Tversky's relationships with his contemporaries played a significant role in shaping his research agenda. His friendship and collaboration with Kahneman were particularly influential as they challenged and supported each other throughout their careers. Tversky also maintained close relationships with other prominent psychologists, including Paul Slovic and Baruch Fischhoff, with whom he collaborated on various projects. These collaborations not only reflected Tversky's intellectual curiosity, but also his passion for understanding human behavior in all its complexity. Despite the significance of Tversky's contributions, his work was not without criticism. Others criticized his reliance on laboratory experiments, arguing that these methods did not accurately capture real-world decision-making processes. Tversky and Kahneman addressed these criticisms by acknowledging the limitations of their approach and emphasizing the need for further research to refine and expand their theories. One of the most significant controversies surrounding Tversky's work concerned the concept of heuristics and biases. Tversky and Kahneman had proposed that people rely on mental shortcuts or heuristics when making decisions under uncertainty, which can lead to systematic biases and errors. However, some researchers argued that this perspective underestimated human rationality, implying that people are inherently flawed or irrational decision-makers. Tversky and Kahneman responded by emphasizing that their work was not intended to criticize human reasoning, but rather to understand its limitations and potential pitfalls. As Tversky's work on heuristics and biases continued to gain traction, he became increasingly interested in the role of emotions in decision-making. He and Kahneman conducted a series of experiments that demonstrated how people's emotional states could influence their choices, often in predictable ways. For example, they found that people who were feeling anxious or fearful were more likely to take risks, while those who were feeling happy or content were more cautious. These findings led Tversky to propose the concept of emotion-based decision-making, which suggested that people's emotional states could play a significant role in shaping their decisions. One of the most notable experiments that Tversky and Kahneman conducted on emotion-based decision-making was the endowment effect study. In this experiment, participants were given a mug and then asked how much they would be willing to sell it for. The results showed that people tended to overvalue the mug simply because they owned it, demonstrating how emotions can influence our perceptions of value. This finding had significant implications for our understanding of consumer behavior and decision-making, highlighting the importance of emotional factors in shaping our choices. Tversky's work on emotion-based decision-making also led him to explore the concept of regret theory. He proposed that people tend to make decisions based on their anticipated regret rather than solely on the potential outcomes. For example, someone who is considering buying a lottery ticket might think, "If I don't buy the ticket and the winning numbers are announced, I will regret not having bought it." This anticipation of regret can lead people to make decisions that are driven by emotions rather than rational calculations. Tversky's relationships with his contemporaries continued to play an important role in shaping his research agenda. He maintained a close friendship with psychologist Daniel Kahneman, and the two men would often engage in lively debates about their work. Tversky also collaborated with other prominent researchers, including Richard Thaler, who would later go on to win the Nobel Prize in Economics for his work on behavioral economics. Some critics argued that his theories were too narrow, focusing primarily on laboratory experiments rather than real-world decision-making scenarios. Others criticized his reliance on simplifying assumptions, arguing that human behavior is far more complex and nuanced than Tversky's models suggested. Tversky's response to these criticisms was characteristically thoughtful and introspective. He acknowledged the limitations of his approach, emphasizing that his work was intended to provide a foundation for further research rather than a comprehensive theory of human decision-making. He also encouraged other researchers to build upon and challenge his ideas, recognizing that the study of human behavior is an ongoing and iterative process. As Tversky's career progressed, he became increasingly recognized as a leading figure in the field of psychology. He was awarded numerous honors and accolades, including the American Psychological Association's Distinguished Scientific Contribution to Psychology Award. Despite these recognition, Tversky remained humble and dedicated to his work, continuing to explore new ideas and challenge conventional wisdom until his untimely death in 1996. His pioneering research on heuristics and biases, emotion-based decision-making, and regret theory has not only shed light on the complexities of the human mind, but also inspired a new generation of researchers to continue exploring the intricacies of human nature. As Tversky himself once said, the insistence on an absolute distinction between fact and value, and the belief that one can study human behavior without taking a stand on fundamental questions of value, is a delusion. These words serve as a poignant reminder of the profound impact of Tversky's work, which continues to resonate with us today. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, may your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.